Sports.
Hey, all right. Listen, I like it, man. We're getting there. We're getting there, Ty. You're a little off key. You're a little off key over there.
I thought it was Bert. That was all.
That was so late.
Bert
Was so late with that.
Bert was late. No, it's all good. Bert, you're never late. Not in my eyes. All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Stuff About Sports. I'm Germ. We got Corey in the building, Ty in the building, Bert's in the building, and somewhere in the shadows in the shipping container, our frightened refugee for the day, Mike. Mike, say hello to the people. Hey, all right. That's the voice shouting from the heavens to us. Today, we are going to start our NFL coverage, where we will go division by division and break down each division in the NFL all the way up until kickoff. Today, we are going to start with the NFC East. And then we're also going to talk about the rule changes in baseball with the new 60-game season. How will it affect the on-field product? Do we like some of the stuff? Do we hate some of the stuff? All of it, some of it, none of it, whatever. But first, as usual, the warm-up. All right, guys, you ready?
Yep.
All right. Washington and Daniel Snyder is officially changing their name and retiring the logo. What are your thoughts now that we are at the end of the road here about the entire Washington racial slur saga, and what is your final predictions on what you think the team name will be?
This is exciting, man. I'm excited for it. I think it was obviously only a matter of time, and certain situations pushed this to happen, which is great. But I'm excited. I love checking out everybody's take on it, the different graphic illustrations. I think definitely they should keep the color scheme somewhat the same. But man, now's the time for creativity. I love the Red Tails, that suggestion, just because I saw a couple of mock-ups of what they could have done with the Red Tails. And it was anything from like planes to make it like kind of, DC military, or it was all the way up to like an actual tail of something, or even down to the feather. So I'm loving it.
Yeah, no, I'll agree. I love it for two reasons. One, because the name was awful to begin with. Two, because nothing pleases me more than watching these asshole billionaire owners just get shoved to the side, because years ago, Dan Snyder was just like, the name will never change, and came out on record in saying that. And now I just love looking back and pulling those old articles and just being like, hey, Dan, suck a fat one, So look, I'm really looking forward to seeing. I love some of the options that are out there. My two favorites are the Red Wolves, which I know that may not pull through, but also I kind of like the Red Hawks too. So I'm feeling more of the animal route, only because visually I think they can make them both look like super fierce on whatever they print them on. So
Yeah, I think anything is obviously better than the previous name. Man, I'm good point though, Bert. I think I can't wait to ever meet Dan Snyder, so I can just be like, man, like how do you feel to like be on the wrong side of history? But thank God it's changing. I would say I love the Red Tails. I was for obvious reasons. I mean, homage to the Tuskegee Airmen, and Red Wolves is cool too, because once you hear the story about they're I guess a native species of the area or something. I've never even seen a red wolf, but I guess they exist. And
you won't. They're extinct because of
word.
Yeah,
because
the same reasons why the Indians lost their land. So Native Americans. I'm sorry.
The reason why we're some reason why we're kneeling for the flag. I know.
Say because of COVID. I swear to God.
Oh my God. No, the Red Wolf sounds like a name that could survive COVID.
I like Red Wolves.
It's just in my brain. It's all I hear is because of COVID. Sorry.
Go ahead, Mike. I know you're passionate about that.
No, I'm so happy it's gone. I refuse to say the name, but somebody walked into the place I work and they were like, Washington messed up. All they had to do was change the logo to a potato and they would have been fine. And I didn't get it at first. You're right.
Like, so stupid.
Hire that guy.
Yeah.
Would have been better than Dan Snyder.
Right, exactly.
Well, so this is par for the course for Dan Snyder, right? I mean, just all he knows how to do is lose ever since he's become the owner. He's losing at football. He's losing at business. And now he lost his team. That's the only thing he cared about was the name for some whatever strange reason. he cared deeply for the Washington, bleep skins, and now
because he hates Native Americans. I mean, that's why.
I mean, I don't know what it is, but at the end of the day, much like everything that works in sports, it's all about money, right? Money. It's the same reason why, and we'll talk about Adrian Wojnarowski later, why ESPN was quick to put him on the shelf. It's the same reason the only reason Dan Snyder is changing the name is because of money. So it's great that it's happening, even if he was forced to do it. So be it, right? Dan Snyder, you get no sympathy from me. So change the name. We have a guy that smartly trademarked a bunch of the potential most popular names out there, like the Washington Warriors, the Washington Red Bulls, the Washington Red Tails. A couple of us caught some of the things. Dan Snyder can still be the Red Wolves because the guy only copyrighted Red Wolves as one word. If Dan Snyder does it as two words, I'm not sure how that works, but maybe he can get away with it. Same thing. He put Red Tailhawks. I actually like the Washington Red Hawks simply because they could virtually not change anything about their branding, right? They can replace the Native American with the old school R logo and they can still keep the feathers. I know a big part of the reason Dan Snyder wants to keep a red or R name is because of the popular hashtag HTTR, which is Hail the Red Bleeps. So he wants to keep a red or some type of R thing so they can keep that hashtag that they actually have the trademark on. So I'm happy. I don't care what the name is. Anything's better than what they had. It is an iconic franchise. I will give them those types of flowers and pay the respect that they deserve.
They're very iconic. The last football team to sign a black player.
It's a great. Yeah,
very, very great, iconic history there.
Well, I mean, yeah. So Bobby Mitchell, right? He's getting his name retired, and what was the old owner is getting his name removed off the lower bowl because he didn't want any black players playing for Washington. But I mean, historic. Just because you're at a historic franchise doesn't necessarily mean it has to be good history, but it is still one of the old cornerstone franchises. Moving on. Speaking of name changing and names that won't be changing, the Atlanta Braves said, yeah, we're not changing the Braves. We feel confident that that's not offending anybody. However, they said they will take a look at the tomahawk chop that they do. That's stupid, right? That's just them trying to get the heat off of them and say, hey, we're going to look at something, even though they're not really going to look at it, and people are going to be tomahawk chopping all season, right?
Yeah, and it's not like the team comes out and does it with them, so it's beyond their control. It's what the fans do. It's like saying you're going to ban the wave at all the stadiums. Like, dude, if they're going to come out and tomahawk chop shit, then that's what they're going to do. Now, if they were to release a press or a statement saying, like, we would respect if you didn't do this because it can be offensive, and then your fans still do that, well, then guess what? Your fans are somewhat racist and bigots and don't respect everybody around them. But at the same time, there's no way they can police that. So I don't understand why they even made a statement.
Yeah, this is a deflection only because they've been sweating ever since the Washington football team has been having people come at them. And I'm sure just like the Cleveland Indians organization is sweating right now too, because it's just a matter of time for them. So although Braves isn't completely offensive, they've already had to kind of revamp some of their marketing and logos throughout the years to make sure that it's not offensive. But I think this is just the last thing they need to check off to make sure that they are not being offensive to anybody. So, and like Corey said, look, the fans do it. It's not like they start the chant. I don't know if they play some sort of background drum track to it, like somebody in an audio booth doing it. They'll have to look into that. So, all right, thanks, Mikey. So yes, they should stop doing that. They should come out with a press release saying, hey, we're not encouraging it. But guess what? The fans will still probably do it. Plain and simple. We've seen it in other sports too. The New Jersey Devils used to have a chant saying, hey, you suck, after they scored a goal against the other team. And they came out and said, hey, guys, please don't do this. And you want to know what the fans did? They continued to do it. So, I mean, look, what do you expect? Their fans are going to do what they want to do.
That's a horrible thing. Like, you can't say you suck. This is sports for fans. Like, that's like the most basic of insults. You suck. Like, we could say way worse, man.
It was like the Rangers chant, but they just add a "you suck" to it, right? From what I understand,
it was a little bit different, but I mean, same principle. Like, it's like, hey, you suck, and I mean, I don't know what it was that made them just be like, guys, please stop. But they continued to do it, or they found new and creative ways to do it too. So,
yeah, I'm glad you said that, Bird. That I think Indians should be on their way out too, right? Like, I think
they're next.
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
next.
They should be next, man. Like that word doesn't feel right to me. It's not a slur as the Washington team, but still, it's just very inappropriate because they're not Indians, right? Like this isn't.
Well, we talked
not
about
India.
that. We talked about that the last. We talked about that the last show, though, right? Like Indians is not a derogatory term; it's just like a politically incorrect term.
It's just inappropriate and just
it's inappropriate.
stupid.
It's not accurate. So the tomahawk, the funny thing is the tomahawk like act of it isn't even really Native American. Like no Native American does that. That didn't come from Native Americans. That didn't come from any type.
Well,
of,
it's symbolic of an actual tomahawk.
Yeah, but they don't. But the Native Americans don't do that.
They actually throw tomahawks.
I understand that, but the gist of it, the same thing as the gator chop was a kid's game for killing black people, right? Like the tomahawk was a caricature of making fun of and describing what Native Americans do. And so it's no different than Chief Wahoo, which is what Cleveland got rid of. It's a caricature of, it's just a visual caricature of you doing something, imitating Native Americans, which is something they don't do themselves. So in that definition, it's offensive and they should get rid of it, right? Like
yeah,
it's
it'd
just,
be like another race imitating another race, right?
yeah, it's that's what it is. And so by that when I look at it like that, then they should absolutely get rid of it. And it's not, maybe it's not offensive, but it's not also something that probably you don't want to be making fun of anybody's culture or making fun of anybody's race. Like nobody, would like that. So that's like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem right for them to do. I lost my notes here. 1 second while I filibuster. Okay, here we go. NBA. Russell Westbrook testing positive for coronavirus. Maybe not inside the bubble, but it's stopping players because Nikola Jokic was the same way. And I believe who's the other? There was another player that tested positive on his way to the bubble, and he had to stop himself. Rajon Rondo breaks his finger at practice. Ben Simmons is catching fish on Disney, and he can't even throw it into the lake, so he still can't shoot. How do you miss the lake, bro? I'm already nervous. It's like it's right there. It's right there, Ben. It's right there. And
didn't he change positions too?
So yeah, they're running him at the 4. We'll see how that happens. But there's a lot of things happening in this Disney bubble, and we should probably revisit the term bubble, because when I think bubble, I think of it bursting, like being weak. It should be something better, stronger. Like call it the NBA, Iron House, or I don't know what you want to call it. But
No, you're
call
so
it
right, though.
Call it something other than a bubble, because it's making me nervous. But the food,
you should be. You should be.
Right, I am. The food is awful. We've seen pictures of the food. We've seen pictures of the hotel rooms. I don't think they're awful. I think they're awesome. But I guess if you're rich and you're an NBA player, they're awful. Are you nervous about the NBA restart? It seemed like maybe a month or two ago, like the surest thing in sports. And now it's like every day it's like falling apart at the seams. Should they continue the NBA season, and should the players be complaining?
Yes and no. Like, dude, the players, you choose to be there. They have to find out, why are you there? You're there to compete and win a championship. So yeah, the hotel room might not be 5-star. The food might not be the greatest, but dude, you're not weaning away to nothing. You're not starving to death. You're healthy, and you get to play a sport that you love. So just shut up and play. Just shut up. Stop with all the antics of actually, the one thing I do like is they are going around. I don't know if you see videos of them shotgunning beers.
Yeah,
There's videos of a bunch
JJ
of them.
Redick shotgunning beer.
There's a bunch of them now. They're tagging each other, and they're all shotgunning beers. That I'll take part in. But you also have to realize there's nothing else going on right now. So the media is covering every inch of this quote-unquote Iron House bubble, whatever we want to call it, because that's exactly what we want to see. And, of course, the media is going to be negative and make us freak out thinking that this isn't going to happen. Look, so far, we'll say, with the exception of, I think, 1 or 2 players, any player that's contracted this virus is asymptomatic. They're in the best shape of their life. Russell Westbrook is asymptomatic. He's just literally waiting 2 weeks to join his team. So,
and I will say, real quick, he is.
No,
I should have added. He said he feels great. He doesn't feel he feels fine. He's just going to quarantine for 2 weeks. So you're right. Keep going. I'm sorry. I just wanted to add that.
No, yeah. So I'm not fearful that it's going to shut down. The league spent the money. The players are there. And I have a strong feeling, once this gets going, you're not going to hear about the testing and all that as often. Because I think if someone does test positive, they're there to play. I think they're just going to play, and that's going to be that. So.
So I think the bubble is the correct term to use because the bubble can burst really quite easily, and it's just as fragile as some of the egos on these players that are choosing to be there.
Bert, yeah.
Oh no! I'm getting paid to stay in an all-star resort on one of the most world-renowned properties. Oh no, they're feeding me. Like, dude, just stop. Just shut up. You're going to ruin it. Like, first off, if you don't want to be there, don't be there. If you're going to complain about the food, I get it. It doesn't look great. But to the same point, dude, you're staying at a resort. They're feeding you for free. They're paying you. Plus, you have the security of knowing everyone around you or is coming into contact with you has been tested, and you don't have concerns for getting the ick somewhere. Plain and simple. You're in the safest spot in the United States right now for all intent and purpose. What I will say is, I am nervous about this season going off, and not because of, players getting in and going undetected. I'm nervous about what they're deciding to do once they're there, because you have these thirsty-ass NBA players that are already texting their side chicks trying to get them in. You have individuals that are so upset about the food, they're trying to get takeout. Then they're walking outside the bubble to go meet their delivery driver to bring food back in. You have these individuals making stupid decisions that can potentially fuck up the rest of this season over something so minuscule. So yes, am I concerned when people are making decisions like this? 100%. And if I'm a teammate of someone who's doing this stuff, I'm like, get it together. I'm trying to win a championship. Don't fuck this up because you want chicken wings from Domino's or something, or you want, a Burger King delivered to you, or if you want anything else, just come here, do what you're supposed to do, and get the games off. Come on.
Yo, for real. There was a player, was it? I forgot what player it was that left, and he's not allowed back on, right? Like, he's like,
yeah, he left.
You're out.
I think he did order pizza too. I forget his name, but he did. He had to walk outside of what their designated area was, and the second he was coming back, they're like, "No, you got to quarantine for 10 days now."
Oh, he can come back. Okay, 10 days. So he can come back. I thought he was like not allowed to come back at all. Like, okay, you got to self-quarantine for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, we missed a boat. We should have joined and got one of us in that bubble.
Just been there already. So when they showed up, it was just like, but
I would have did bags. I would have carried bags or something just to get the inside scoop for real. I would have tried to get hired on.
They're letting journalists in, and I feel like we could have, with our credentials, gotten in.
We could bullshit our way in that for real.
Yeah,
we got A-Rod. We can fucking get in the NBA bubble.
Well, I think whatever media is there probably has to be there the whole time. Or they're in the bubble too.
Yeah, there's a few journalists that are friends with Laura. They were like, I'm 2 weeks now. They got to do 14 days in their room. They'll give them food and stuff like that, but then they could walk around as they please. So
that's insane. Yeah, there's actually a hotline that people can call if they're like, yo, if you catch anybody leaving the bubble, you can anonymously tell us what's happening, and we'll go get them. So I'm guessing that's what happened to that one player. I did read. I didn't catch the player's name. There's been a couple. Ja Morant, saying the rooms are fine to me. I grew up poor. Like, I don't know what y'all complaining about.
For real.
But Giannis said that too. He's like, I grew up in a house all my life with my 4 brothers in a place this big. Me and my mom and my 4 brothers. So I'm not complaining about nothing.
But even the food, though, honestly, the pictures they posted, it was like bad packaging, but it wasn't. It looked like I was like, fresh vegetables. I'm like, man, I eat that all day long. What y'all talking about?
Yeah,
that pasta was looking great.
I cut Ty off, but I do want to say one thing. Melissa on social media said some players said they don't feel comfortable playing, though. Almost seemed like they were forced, the players, or maybe it's just the way the media is portraying it. I think it's a little more the media. A lot of players in all professional leagues have bowed out a little bit, but also the players were warned, the NBA players, that the first week would be rough with the food because they got to get all these chefs quarantined. Starting next week, they have executive chef after executive chef after executive chef. This week, they had a ton of DJs at the pools, and the only guy that showed up to one of the events was Dwight Howard. Nobody else showed up. There were 4 DJs playing in 4 different locations, and Howard was the only one that showed up to
somehow I knew it would be Dwight Howard to show up at the pool.
Yeah. But we never got tied.
That's in City, man.
I cut him off.
Listen. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ty.
No, there's really nothing. You go ahead.
Mike, I mean, and you said, Melissa said that a lot of the players, there's reports that players feel forced. They're not forced to do anything unless they define forced. Like, forced, are you a six man that needs the paycheck forced, or, thinks you need the paycheck, but you still
It's more so like peer pressure. It's more so like everybody else is doing it and you can't not
exactly
do
you
it
got
because you're like,
teammates
shit.
giving you shit. Exactly.
Like,
So
listen,
it's
we all do this and we don't get paid much. If there was an opportunity to go to Disney, have your own room, have your own food, and do what you're doing, and to get away from the norm, I think
I'm
we all
walking around
sign
with my dick out, dead ass every day.
Right. So-
and seriously, and act like these guys weren't at each other's fucking house for the last 3 months practicing and shooting around and all that shit
100%.
anyway. So like, give me a break. Come on now.
100. Honestly, I do understand, and I do. I'm going to use the word sympathize here, even though it's probably the wrong word. I understand you're a rich guy who's used to having things a certain way and your personal chefs, and I get the downgrade because if you're a guy who's been in the league 6+ years, you're accustomed to a certain life, and this is drastic, as opposed to a guy like John Morant who was broke 3 years ago, trying to make it through college. And
another thing I noticed though is also like if you have the single young guy, or the married established older guy, like. Yeah,
the married established older guy is loving this. He's
some do, some don't. Some people like
no.
Some people are in a position in their lives are like, man, I don't want to be away from my family that long, and I don't want to be secluded from my family that long. Like some people are
and then
like
there's
that.
Most of the guys who are like me, who's like, bro, I've been stuck in this house for 7 weeks with these motherfuckers, man. I am going to Disney. I'm going to catch little tiny fish with Ben Simmons, and I'm not going to be able to throw them back in the lake because I can't shoot. And that's exactly the life that I want. Sign me up. I'll sleep in the streets of Disney. Sleeping in the streets of Disney is better than the house I live in. So guess what? I'm going. Speaking of players doing whatever they want, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Joel Embiid, among others, have passed on putting the names on the back of their jerseys from the list of suggested social justice messages. There was a list of probably 30 things. I don't agree that there was a list, period, but there were generic social justice messages for everything. These big stars have decided to just use their last names on the jerseys, said that they'll affect social justice a different way, whatever. Is this a big deal that they decided to pass on using this platform?
Yes. Only because these are the guys that people look towards for getting messages out, for, hey, what should we do next? How should we present ourselves? So I think it's just not setting a great example. I understand that, they are very actively involved in other ways. And I think LeBron was even quoted by saying that, this is much bigger than a message I put on my jersey. And, that was the main reason he didn't do it. However, then do it for a game. Do it just to show, set a good example for everybody else, and then carry on in other ways. You know what I mean? This is a huge thing that the NBA kind of allowed everybody to do that, because we all know how strict NBA is with different rules and stuff like that. So I just think they just, even big or small, take advantage of it.
So they may be involved in other things, and that's great. By not doing this, they're fucking up. Plain and simple. This is so small, so easy to do. And especially when you take a player like LeBron, who likes to use his platform to say a lot of things in support for certain groups. So, like, dude, what are you waiting for? And someone correct me if I'm wrong, but like the whole NBA-China conflict, wasn't he the one that was sounding off at his mouth and getting everybody in trouble because of some of his beliefs? So, like, dude, you have a chance. Now, granted, I didn't see the list of what the messages were, but even something as simple as like BLM, Black Lives Matter, dude, put it on your back. Like, this is the one time in any sport where the name or saying on the back does take precedent over what's on the front and the logo. So I think they're just making a huge mistake. And it almost looks, to me, from an outsider, it looks like you're putting yourself and your ego over a greater cause. That's just to me.
I don't see it that far, but I kind of get where you're coming from. But
I would like if one major player took this route, like a LeBron James, and said, like, look, like, this is, you're not going to pacify her. Like, give me a pacifier. Like, I want real change, right? But also like from a creative standpoint and a marketing standpoint, like I would have put every person who have died from the hands of a police officer in the past, I don't know, let's say 6 months, or it feels like that. But the last 6 years, every game I'd have a different last name on the back of my jersey, so there's creative ways to have made this better than just saying I'm not going to participate because I think that this is just them trying to act like they're trying to make change. But my argument would be, how do I take this but also make my own change? So I do understand what LeBron's saying. Honestly, I do. And who are we to really say whether he's messing this up or not? It's up to him. I think he's done a lot in his community, in Cleveland and the town over, right, where he was from, and it escapes me, Akron. But he's also, has the right to do what he wants to do. So what I think is cool is that a lot of, players that probably wouldn't have been outspoken have put stuff out there. So, but other than that, I just feel like if LeBron wants bigger change, then yeah, we're talking about him right now because he's not doing it. So maybe it's working in an adverse effect.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm in the middle of all that, like of what everybody's saying. Like, I can't, I'm not mad about it at all, but I probably will be if I don't see much action from these players outside of the league. It's like I'd probably be the same way. Like, I don't. For one, it's tough to honor everybody. It's really tough to pick one name, or you can't put all the names, and you're always going to miss somebody. Every single time you're going to miss somebody. You can't get everybody because there's so many instances that we don't even know about. So, and then even a statement like Black Lives Matter is a tough statement. I don't want to go too deep down that path, but the reason why a lot of people are not quick to jump down that path is because that now is an organization. So now if you are putting your allegiance to that, you're almost aligning with the organization. And some people are hesitant to do that. It's not just the statement anymore. It's literally an organization, a registered trademark, and things of that nature. So I'm not too upset about anybody that says, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna put my own name, but you better be doing something else is all, especially LeBron, really, he's the main one. He would be the one you expect to set the precedent, like Corey said, to set that precedent to even probably bring this idea to the table. You expect him to be that one or something. So I hope there's, really big things coming from LeBron for the Black community outside of just in Ohio, and stuff he can do, globally. We'll see.
But I also think he earned the right to put his last name on that jersey.
They all did.
Yeah,
I mean, they're all there, so.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's tough, and I think he will do some amazing stuff. I just feel it in my bones, honestly. So
we'll see.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Am I clear? Am I?
Yes.
Is my tone good?
I'd pull up pause for station ID, but it's not the right time.
I'm going to get a little closer to the microphone just so there's no confusion here. LeBron James is a coward. Just like Bert said, yes, I said it. LeBron James is a coward. Like Bert was saying, it is such a small thing. Matter of fact, when it comes to LeBron James, and he's the only one on the planet that's capable of taking a relatively small step and expanding that, like the mountain into a molehill, whatever that term is. He could do that positively, right? Like any little thing he does is expanded exponentially because he's attached to it. I can't breathe. Stop police brutality. Anything, literally anything other than your last name could have made such a difference. The money generated from that could help so many people. I refuse to get, like, I know what Mike is saying, that he does so much other stuff, and he does a lot of great things. However, this is what's happening now. Nobody cares about your Akron school, your super academy that you're actually forcing kids to, parents to pay for later, that nobody talks about, but whatever, because you graduated a bunch of poor kids. Great, good for you. Never mind all the tax breaks you get, but we'll talk about that later. you have the opportunity here to put your stamp on something. And I will correct Bert. LeBron James didn't say anything about the labor and the government of China, which is why he's getting killed. Because once again, he's protecting the money. It's the same. And again, we're about to talk about Woj in a second. These players are stunningly silent on things that affect their money, right? And this is another thing. LeBron James doesn't want to affect King James, Nike, whatever his sponsorship money is. So he's just going to put James on the back of it, which is why you're a coward. You don't make change by making all the safe moves in life. Nobody who's ever changed the world did so in a way that everybody agreed with. You had to piss people off. LeBron James, a simple I can't breathe. You can wear the shirt during a pregame warmup, but you won't put it on the back of your jersey where they can sell it, where those proceeds are going to go to help families who have lost people. The WNBA are literally taking the names of the women who were slain, right, and putting it on the back of their jerseys. And not one player decided not to do that when they all had the choice, because they all understand it's not about you. It's not about your image and your brand. There is something bigger here. You had the opportunity to literally step into the front of the line of the Black Lives Matter movement and include white people and Spanish people and Europeans and unite black people, because sports is the great uniter in this world. We all have been to a football game and pretty sure we've been sitting next to a raging racist, but we're hugging each other when our teams score. You know what I mean?
Does that make it okay?
It doesn't. No, it doesn't make it okay. But it's a
right now
doorway.
we're fans together.
Exactly. Sports is the only thing in the world that does that. It's the only thing that unites anybody from all brands.
I don't know if I want that, but go ahead.
Listen, you're. Guess what, Ty? You are a fan, and you share a fandom with a racist who loves Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And I want high five him if I know that.
And you have high-fived him, though, and that's the thing. If you know it, that's different. You can choose, but at the end of the day, you both have a common interest. It's something that's bringing you to Tampa Bay together. LeBron James could do that in a much bigger scale. So that's why, to me, not only is he, but Anthony Davis, who is all of a sudden LeBron James's bitch boy. He's doing everything LeBron James says, even though he's better than LeBron James. And now Joel Embiid. I'm like sitting here. Yes, yeah. Anthony Davis is the best player on the Lakers and not LeBron James. It's the only reason that they're contending right now. But yeah, LeBron James, you should have put something on the back of your jersey. You're a punk. You're a coward. You stayed silent during the China thing. You're only protecting yourself and your dollars, and you're hiding it through activism. And you're a joke. You're always going to make the safe plays. Unlike the God, Adrian. And I'm going to teach you all how to say his name. War, gin like the drink. Owski. Say it with me. War Jin Owski. Say his name correctly. War Janowski. Woj, the Woj bomb. And he was dropping a different kind of bomb over that punk ass Missouri Senator Josh Hawley, a.k.a. Bitch Boy Supreme, out there being a punk. Basically, Josh Hawley wouldn't attach something to help. I don't think it was just Black Lives Matter. I think it was just all social justice. There was like some reform thing through sports, and Josh was blocking that for the state of Missouri and basically saying, I ain't doing that shit. And Woj responded with a simple but effective fuck you. And I got so hard because I didn't think Wojnarowski was capable of cursing. He seems like the nicest guy in the world when you see him on TV. The fact that I know he has that in his repertoire makes me like him even more. LeBron James, he won't put Black Lives Matter on the back of his jersey, unlike the god Kyle Korver. But he will say free Woj on Twitter because that's a safe thing to do, because that's what everybody's doing. So was ESPN suspended Woj for saying this? Was ESPN right in doing so?
No. God, no. I mean, and granted, it was a professional. It was through his ESPN email. But,
yes.
You got to – it's sometimes, listen, we all use email for our companies. And sometimes a simple fuck you is the best response you can ever have. I've never been able to live that dream yet, but it sometimes it's appropriate. And not only was he did his request get denied, but in the response back in that email, I think the senator berated him and pretty much told him how he doesn't support active military and this, that, and the other thing, and how something was a huge slap in the face, whatever the hell it was. So Woj was just like, all right, you know what? F you. Like, And honestly, getting suspended for that is so stupid because until the senator tweeted out that response, nobody would have known. It was through email. He didn't say it on air. The FCC didn't get all crazy about it. It was, oh, you can't curse at a senator. Like, who cares, man? Like, who cares?
Look, I support Waj, and I think his response was appropriate. I personally don't. So personally, Bert speaking, I don't think he should have been suspended. Professional Bert, with an HR hat on, knows that if you use a company's email address and you're tied to that company, something's going to happen to you.
And you email a U.S. senator.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. Like the fact that I'm sure it had at ESPN.com, and all it took is like one tweet, and then sure as shit, I'm sure everybody that supports that senator is going to say boycott ESPN. This is ridiculous, and then message ESPN.
But nobody's
ESPN, what are you going to do about this?
Boycott ESPN. Like, you know what I mean? Like that. This is so small for that media outlet, and I understand.
Listen to
but
me.
It's not like there's no. But listen, right now nobody is boycotting ESPN, and if the great state of Missouri, if half of them really want to, that's not going to affect ESPN's bottom line. It's not.
Listen to me. When it comes to politics, you had these outward racists trying to boycott NASCAR because they couldn't fly a Confederate flag. When it comes down to politics and sports, if you get these hardcore politically aligned individuals, they are going to try to boycott whatever medium there is available and just get their news in a different route. It happens all the time. So you're saying nobody can boycott ESPN.
Doing? So how's NASCAR doing?
I boycotted.
NASCAR's doing fine.
There
was no impact on it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. It's so minuscule.
What I'm saying is when you're saying something like that and you're tied to your company, there's going to be blowback and there's going to be headaches for those in any type of comms department or disaster control that they have at the company in itself. Unfortunately, since you used that email address, ESPN was kind of forced to say, hey, look, you're suspended, sit this play out, so to speak. And we'll go from there. Me personally, I think it was a strong move. Any chance you get to tell somebody to go fuck themselves if you don't agree with them is always great. It sums it up and everything. And I hate you. I don't believe you. I'm not. I don't agree with you whatsoever. So look, good for Waj. I honestly think he's better than ESPN, and he could do something on his own, and people would follow.
Oh, 100%. He has. I mean, as you see from the free Woj hashtags, he has his own fan base. He doesn't need ESPN at this point. He could, and if he got fired, like really fired, he can go anywhere. I'm sure, in a snap of a finger. I'm glad that they didn't fire him. A suspension is nothing, right? It's a free vacation. He makes plenty of money. He's just taking a couple of days off, and he should have expected that. And there's nothing wrong with it, right? Like, just move on. And there's nothing wrong with saying "fuck you" to a U.S. senator. But at the same time, like Bert said, you send it from a work email. It's about to be suspended. And that's it. Like, do the time. You did a crime. I'm glad he wasn't fired. And that's that. And then who cares?
Yeah, it spurned off an email that Hawley was criticizing Adam Silver about the China labor stuff and some of the social justice stuff, and basically like broadcast all the internal discussions and saying don't criticize ESPN because they get mad at this, and that's when Woj hit him with the "fuck you." But I'm kind of like, Woj, and it's funny you said that Woj can go out and get his own following. He already had that for years. Woj, while at Yahoo, single-handedly was kicking ESPN's ass, which is why he's over there now. They offered him a shit ton of money, and ESPN needs Woj more than Woj needs ESPN. So, and I've been a strict believer. Listen, man, when you're special, guess what, buddy? You get special treatment. That's just the way the world works. It's built on that. You get a longer leash. We've seen it in sports plenty of times. Woj is no different. Outside of ESPN, Woj is outside of Stephen A. Smith, Woj is the most important guy at ESPN. So, and one could argue he's even more important because he does more actual journalism than Stephen A. Stephen A's more or less a gas bag with some connections. It's just that's what he's.
He's entertaining. He's a brand. He's a personality.
He's the face. He's the face of ESPN right now. Like, he's transitioned out of that journalist role, so that's his role now. Woj's role is to get the info, and he does it better than anybody. So, yeah, regardless if you agree with the senator, I don't agree with him publicizing it, which is what spurned Woj's reaction. But at the end of the day, you're Woj, dog. Like, you can't be suspending me. If I was Woj, I'd just quit. Or I'd refuse. Like, fuck it, I'm out. I'm not working. I'll still get all the connections. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to put it on my Twitter, and I'm going to tell Yahoo, and I'm going to tell CBS, and I'm going to tell Fox before I put it on my Twitter. That way they can post it before you do. And
he probably has a contract too, though, man. Like,
yeah, I was just about to say he probably's got.
Dog, Woj is bigger than any contract. What are they going to do? What is he going to do? He's Woj, dog.
He's going to get sued, dog. He's going to get sued.
Yeah.
I hate that, bro. You're going to sue me? I'm Woj. You ain't getting nothing. I'll make sure. Woj could shut down ESPN. He could literally, with all his connects, be like, yo, don't fuck with ESPN. We're not fucking with that.
That's Disney. You can fuck around if you want. That's Disney.
Right.
They got they got lawyers for days. All right.
Listen, Dan
When
Snyder
it comes out of contracts, they don't play that shit.
Dan Snyder should definitely send some Washington goons to that asshole's house who like trademarked all this shit, right? And just fuck him up and be like, yo, drop this shit. It's over. So we can have the Red Wolves. Yeah, you should definitely do that. I would do it. All right. We spent a lot of time on that. There was a lot of good conversation in there. So do you guys want to skip the baseball or you want to talk about it quickly? I know Mike, matter of fact, Mike, go ahead, man. You talk about the changes in baseball.
I don't even want to talk about the changes. I want to talk about the fact that, baseball will happen this weekend. The Mets and Yankees are playing in a spring training like game. So it's
what are you
exciting.
Expecting out of that?
I'm expecting a whole lot of nothing. I hope neither team overexerts themselves. It's only 60 games. We got to play these guys a bunch of times. So I hope we don't show our full cards, but I also hope that, it's going to be something we could actually watch on TV for a change. So it's a little exciting. And also maybe we'll get acclimated to some of these rule changes, right? The one that I want to bring up is the wet rag for the pitchers, because like it's just, you're not allowed to go to your mouth when you were on the rubber, but now they're going to have this wet rag. And Laura and I talked about this on my show, the Mike Show, MikeShow.com. I don't even know. Go to Give Us a Shot.
We'll try that again later in the show.
Yeah, we'll try that later.
HeadIsland.com.
But yeah. But anyway, so we talked about how they're just going to put freaking every liquid in the world on that rag. So it's all I think about is
sounds even more healthy.
Every liquid?
Every liquid, probably. That's sticky stuff, man. That could definitely get you something.
So about that universal designated hitter, like, is that? I mean, that should have been a thing, though, right?
No, it should not have been a thing. And I'm happy as a Met fan it's a thing because our team's built for it. Robbie Cano, who obviously is Robbie Corona right now because he hasn't showed up to camp yet, and we announced we had one player that had it, but we weren't going to tell you who it was. And so either Cano doesn't want to play this year, or he unfortunately has it, and it could be really bad, and I hope he's fine. But Cespedes, you got J.D. Davis, you got Dom Smith, and even Pete Alonso. Like, there's so many people that could play the DH role for us and stay healthy playing that DH role, that this lineup looks ridiculous. And
but we're not going to see it. We're not going to see it in this exhibition game, though, right? Like they're not going to give these star players on the Yankees or the Mets any real burn, right? Like they're not going to waste it.
There's only 60 available players, so I hope not. I hope this is a way the Mets and the Yankees can figure out who's going to be on that final roster and which ones are going to go to Staten Island and which ones are going to go to Brooklyn, because we both opened up. The Yankees opened up their secondary camp in Staten Island, so these guys on their 60 rotation that don't make the team will go to Staten Island, and ours will go to Brooklyn, which is kind of cool because we've all been to that Brooklyn stadium for a few seconds. Right?
Listen, fuck all that. Brody, listen, I know you're watching the show. I know you're a big fan of stuff about sports. Tim Tebow, say it with me now. We don't give a fuck about Pete Alonso. We don't give a fuck about anybody else you got on that bum-ass team of yours. Sell it. Get J-Lo over there to City. Get him over there. Don't sell it to this soccer asshole that I read today that Mike sent us this article. Sell it to A-Rod and J-Lo. Bring it to – he doesn't want to sell to that dude. Look at that dude. Do you see the way he smiles? He doesn't know what he's doing.
That guy makes money.
No, his group makes money. He just reaps the benefits. Anyway,
well, we're into the Final Four. So, do you want to know who it is?
Yeah, go.
Stevie Cohen, J-Rod, the guy you don't want from soccer, and then the Sixers/Devils connection, which is for me the scariest of the four.
Colangelo or Harris?
Yeah.
Who was it? Harris?
Yeah, it's Harris and somebody from
Rubin. No. We don't want that. No, right. I don't like that move. That's absolutely. All right, guys, let's get to it. Football. You guys ready to talk some NFC East? Unfortunately, a lot of our viewership and our listenership are fans of these NFC East teams. Me, Ty, and Corey did a way too early post-draft prediction show. And so I don't think we have Bert and Mike on that, but I have our picks. I thought we picked different teams, but we all landed on the Cowboys to win the NFC East. So I will start there. Corey, are you sticking with that prediction?
I am, and here's why. Okay, in my opinion, they're still going to have the best defense in the NFC East. In my opinion, they have the best quarterback in the NFC East, and I am not talking about Dak Prescott. I'm talking about the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton. Give me that ginger power. Wait, we're less than 24 hours from decision day, boys. Dak and the Cowboys still are not talking, and they have till 4 p.m. tomorrow to reach an agreement. You better believe you're not talking. You have, I think, 16 some hours until you're supposed to make a deal. Andy Dalton, the jerseys are going to be flying off the shelf down in Dallas right now. He is going to lead those Cowboys to an NFC victory. I'm telling you right now. Cowboys have the best receiving core in the NFC East right now. You know, you look over.
They do.
Hands down. And it's unfortunate because the Washington Dickskins are young, but they still have a no-name receiving core. They should change their name to the Washington Who for this season, because there's literally the Washington Who? Because there's literally no one that you're going to recognize other than Haskins out there. So I'm still sticking with the Dallas Cowboys.
Bert, I know we're putting you on the spot here. Who do you think is going to come out of the NFC East here?
Say it, Bert.
So, self-admittedly, as a Giant fan, it pains me to say it, but I agree with Corey. It pains me to say that I agree with Corey on multiple levels, but the fact is, I mean, look, when it comes down to it, we're starting with a dumpster fire of a conference, right? The NFC East is basically now the joke of the NFL. I mean, you couldn't pick 4 shittier teams to be in one. I mean, the Eagles won the division last year with a 9-7 record. Like, are you kidding me? Plus, there's been a different division winner every year since 2004. It's kind of been anybody's game of who can be less terrible than the rest of the pack. But with the moves that the Cowboys made, especially in the offseason, Corey is 100% right. They have a nasty receiving core. And for all you Philly fans listening out there, yes, I know Deshaun Jackson's back in Philadelphia. Like, chill. We get it. Him and Alshon are going to do great things. But when it comes down to it, they drafted a young receiver. You have Amari Cooper, Gallup now too. You have Zeke in the backfield, plus now with their 2 tackles too, between McCoy and then of course DeMarcus Lawrence. I think they're going to be nasty in the NFC. It like I said, I'm about to vomit saying this, but I think they're going to take the division. Yeah.
I'm still in the Cowboys, but man, Corey said Dalton's the best quarterback in the East. Like, damn, nah, there's definitely not.
I think even disrespecting Dak.
That's horrible. It's not about Dak though. Like I was.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I mean, I think I'll probably still take Dak over Dalton, but it's like a slight edge. But still, I like Daniel Jones. I like Wentz. You know, Wentz is just injury prone, but I like Wentz when he's playing well. He reminds me of a lot of good quarterbacks. Russell Wilson. He reminds me of some of these guys. It's just he has to stay healthy. But no, I think I'm not sure we ranked them, but it's definitely Cowboys still just because of their talent, and then the Eagles just because the other 2 squads are just don't have much else on the fields, But Giants would have to be next, and I want to see. I like Daniel Jones. I'm a fan of Daniel Jones, and I want to see. I want to see what he can do. I just wish he had some more weapons up there.
Danny Dimes. Yeah, he does need some more weapons.
Yeah. My buddy Steve Zuccari, he's chimed in on the show on social before, but he knew that we were talking about this. He told me that Daniel Jones is going to be the best quarterback in New York in 2 years, and I said, I don't think he's going to be playing for Buffalo because there's only one team in New York. All right, there's only
I like
one.
I like all the quarterbacks in New York, man. I like Sam Dalton too. I just feel like they're just like in shitty situations. Like, damn,
Darnold.
Like,
it's hard to judge.
Darnold.
It's hard to judge Darnold a little bit. I think
He's been working
better.
out though. He's been working out. This entire report just came out that he's been seriously training and working out, getting ready for this year.
Is he working out in your gym?
Bro, all should be seriously training and working out. This is their job. Like, I don't want to hear like, oh, they're really hunkering down and working out. Yeah, no shit. They get paid to do it. It's their job.
But the truth is they don't. You know what I mean? Like Jamarcus Russell was given blank tapes to study, and when he walked in the very next day, coaches were like, "Oh, how were those?" And he was like, "Oh no, I studied those blitz packages," and the tapes were blank, bro. So like they don't put in the work. Some of them really don't.
But it's I think Bert is saying like the guys that like they show the footage and it's like I said this on the other show, like, yeah, Antonio Brown, everybody's like ooh and ahhing because he ran like a comeback route and caught the ball on Instagram. I'm like, well, yeah, no shit, bro. He's like, you think he's gonna post it if he dropped the ball? Like, I mean, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course he looks good in that 30-second clip. But yeah, so it's funny, we all picked the Dallas Cowboys during the pre-show and I'm changing my mind. Philadelphia is going to win that division for a couple reasons. The main reason is okay. Don't never play that again. So it's the Dak Prescott. Think about every team who's had this situation with their quarterback not figured out. That franchise tag does not work, bro. It leads to nothing. That's going to be, you can't have the number one player, not the best player on your team, but the quarterback is the most important position on a football team, whether your quarterback's good or bad. Like, if that situation is shaky in whether it's on the field or contract, it's going to trickle down to everybody else because it's always going to be something like Dak, if he plays on the franchise tag, is always going to be worried about his free agency. He's always going to be worried about he's going to fall down when he probably could have gained that extra yard, or he's going to try to run out of bounds. When you start trying to do extra shit other than play the game or do what you're supposed to do, that's when you get hurt. The other reason, the big reason, is Mike McCarthy's the coach, and I forgot all about that. Mike McCarthy's a loser, bro. He's not a good coach. He'll be replaced by week 8, 100%. This guy had Aaron Rodgers. And he got one Super Bowl out of him. And it's only because Aaron Rodgers overturned every Mike McCarthy call in those playoffs and in the Super Bowl. Mike McCarthy's not a good coach. Jerry Jones wanted.
Jerry Jones hiring him was like, wow.
The worst thing he could possibly do.
He was just like, let me get the best white guy I can think I find.
That's what it was, right? Hugh was supposed to go for the job too, but Hugh didn't even get an interview. Hugh got a dinner out of the deal,
you're white,
and that was it.
You're hired.
Yeah.
Basically, hey, have you coached? Are you supremely average? Will you not say anything? You're going to let me do all the talking? Sure, you're hired.
You missed all your white.
Well, McCarthy, like,
fuck you, DeMarcus Lawrence.
Like, he couldn't get a job, and he even somehow kept his like coaching staff together. I don't know if you saw that ESPN episode or whatever it was with him, and like he convinced all these people to stay with him for the season. He didn't have a job. And they would just run tape and like analyze all different players if they were put in different situations. So,
Mike McCarthy?
It was the weirdest thing ever. Like, yeah, it would be like
a bunch of losers sitting around,
sitting
around no jobs, looking at football. Like, you're not an analyst, you're not an analyst, you're not even coaches. You're just at home.
If I owned something, I would not want him to run it because he was like, yeah, we simulated it for the last year. All right, you dweeb, get out of here. Like, but yeah, I agree. I do not think they're going to win the division. I think it's the Eagles or the Giants because for me, the Giants are.
Hey, baby, you looking hot tonight?
They look hot, bro.
Yo, somebody get the soundboard off of Mike.
We, we have the best running back. I don't care what Madden says. I don't care what anybody says in the NFL. We have the best running back. So we got some and
Is that a first year coach down there in the Giants on the blue side of the
He is.
MetLife?
He was. He's from the Pats. He's I think he was their wide
Special
receiver
teams
coach.
Or
Special teams, Joe Judge. So he's been under Belichick. I'm sure he's learned a lot. I mean, that's the one thing exciting. Look, we can't do worse than Pat Shermer, right?
So we're going to
be
be
just
the Bengals.
disastrous.
Yeah, you can't do worse. I thought you couldn't
it's-
do worse than Ben McAdoo, and then enter Pat Shermer. And then we'll see. McAdoo.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's and dude, I agree. Like, dude, Saquon is one of the best running backs in the game, and if it wasn't for him, honestly, we'd probably be even more trash. What concerns me is our receiving core. Yeah, we got Shepard. Yeah, we have Tate, but I mean, let's be honest. I mean, they can't stay healthy the entire season, and that's the name of the game. Plus, when you have now, not a rookie quarterback now, but he still has a lot to learn. So, I don't think look. I love the G-Men. I'll bleed blue all day, but I do not think they're going to be at the top. I do think they're going to finish above the Redskins, but I do think I don't think they're going to be up there competing. Our only saving grace would be to compete with the Cowboys is honestly if the Eagles don't stay healthy because they have a nasty receiving core right now. But we all know Carson Wentz is basically made of glass, but so are some of his receivers too. So,
Right.
It'll be interesting to see the evolution of Daniel Jones because I was impressed by him. I don't know if I'll go as far to say that they'll be better than the third place team, but honestly, if he's good, like better than he was last year, I mean, who's to say that they couldn't, I don't know about win the division, but, fight for that wild card spot. You have Saquon Barkley, you have Evan Ingram up there. I don't think if they drafted any receivers. I'm not familiar with their receiving core, but they don't have anybody really, right? So, but Tom Brady's made a whole career about not having receivers. I don't think the receiving core, I don't know if you were to rank them, if the Giants would have the worst receiving core over the racial slurs. I think Washington does have a nice one. There's a young receiver. I think his number 17. I'm trying to look for his name real quick. I think he was pretty good.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but I think they have a couple, to be honestly. But with Ron Rivera there in Washington, that's going to be a defensive team. You draft Chase Young. I mean, that's going to be defense. So to me, it's the defense that's going to win the division. I think the Eagles have the best. See, Dallas probably has a better defense than Philly right now because Philly's second.
Yes,
they do, right? Okay. So then I'm just basically trusting Carson Wentz over Dak Prescott and Andy Dalton. Corey, I'll be real with you, man. I think Andy Dalton's had a bad rap down there in Cincy, man. I would be interested. I would like to see Andy Dalton, and it's hard to say with a better team because he had AJ Green, but outside of him, hasn't really had much. So, especially an offensive line, Dallas has one of the better offensive lines. I'm not going to pretend to know offensive linemen and where they rank and things like that, but I know Dallas is always mentioned as having a good offensive line. So, I would love to see Andy Dalton with a fair shake. I mean, seriously,
it'd be the best team he had, but he's had some really nice receivers too, right? Clearly,
Yeah, but since he's never had a good defense, I mean, they've had a bunch of they've been playoff consistent. They've been regular season win consistent. And I would say on a Bengals. He's racked up a lot of wins. Yeah, he's won.
Andy's best season is when he had Chad Johnson and Terrell Owens on either side. That was Andy's by far his best season.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Carson Palmer was the quarterback when
Yeah, I was going to say that wasn't Andy Dalton.
Yeah, that was Carson. Never mind.
We've all
AJ
been
Green and
on,
Mohamed Sanu were both there at the same time, Corey.
We've all been on some type of competitive team, right? And you know that one player that plays better during practice than they ever do in a game?
Yeah.
Do you think now that they're taking away the fans and Philadelphia just announced till February they won't have anybody in the stands for football or baseball, but do you think now that player might actually excel more so? So do you think there will actually be players that you never expected to perform, a certain way will now perform better because Think
maybe
about
in a
it. Like,
sport,
I'm-
maybe in a
you're both-
sport like basketball, maybe in a sport like baseball.
Okay.
Football is too intricate. I think the guys on that level in football, if you don't know what you're doing, I don't think it's going to matter whether crowd is there or not. Because when you're down on the field, and
Well-
I've talked to players who've played, they don't really, while the game is being played, they don't hear the fans at all. Like everything is zoned in. The adrenaline's going. They don't really pay attention.
Outside of the super loud stadiums, outside of
Yeah,
Right,
Seattle.
right.
I mean,
Seattle,
Arrowhead,
Vikings.
But you're
Yeah,
talking about
people get
downtime.
loud.
Like you're talking about when you have time to pay attention to them while you're on the sidelines. I'm talking about the act of playing the game. You're so focused.
But no,
on
but
running
there's
that
times where
play.
they can't even they can't even do audibles, right? When you see that, that's when you know, like, oh shit, it's loud as hell. They can't even call an audible. They can't. The receiver didn't hear. They got to run and try to tell the receiver down the other end. Like,
Yeah,
that
but those
kind
are
of
usually bad
quarterbacks
teams.
that hold their helmet like this so they can hear. So I think that's the advantage that they're going to get is there's no excuse for mixing up plays and stuff now. If you're the quarterback or you're the defensive guy with the headset on the team, you should know exactly what's going on. There should be no miscues in that situation.
yeah. Now, Mike,
But
I mean,
also-
if you were referring to just individually, like personal performance, like someone almost
Right.
like getting stage fright and like not being able to perform, if you're at that level, you've already played in front of fans in college. You've already played in front of fans your whole life. So, I mean, I'd like to think there's no reason why that would affect you. But I mean,
How
again,
many people?
I mean-
Right. How many people? You both coach, right? So how many
Mm-hmm.
players do you wish translated their practice into game time? Like, how many times as a coach have you told a player, if you do that during a game, we win?
Yeah, but
I've
I
kinda-
agree, but I don't think that has anything to do with fans and people watching. I just think it's the pressure of if I don't make this shot, we lose the game. You know, if I miss this pass, we lose you know what I mean? Like, so
Got
I wouldn't attribute it to, you know, like Germ said, you're focused on the game. Even at the high school level, like that, they're focused on the game. They don't care. Yeah, the kids that ride the bench and stuff, they're the ones that are looking at who's in the crowd and all that other stuff, but they're not getting a lot of burn playing anyway. So the ones that are actually out there playing, I think it's more of the pressure of, you know, my decision will affect the outcome of the game. And where in practice, they're more relaxed. So they don't think about it. So, of course, they're going to be a little, you know, easier.
My opinion is you're going to see a lot of guys who thrive off of that. Their numbers are going to dwindle, especially in baseball. And you're going to see guys like Jeff McNeil who will be more relaxed. And you're going to see this guy potentially not only win a batting title, maybe the home run record for the year too. So that's my
Who
opinion.
cares? Who cares?
Oh,
So the wide receivers for Washington is the Terry McLaurin is the guy we're talking about, Ty. That's the good one. He was really good in fantasy. They have Steven Sims Jr., Antonio Gandy Golan, and Cody Latimer.
But they have two good running backs. Don't they still got Geis
yeah,
still?
they have Darius
Guys,
Peterson, who had a really good year
No,
last year.
there's a third one then. Who was the other guy? It was another one that was
Gibson,
good too.
Antonio Gibson is the third
Yes,
string.
Peyton
Antonio Gibson, and they had J.D. McKissick from Detroit.
McKissick, yeah.
They had McKissick.
Word.
They had a bunch because Darius guys tore his ACL, right? So like,
But he's good. He was good before his injury. He was really good before his injury.
So
I
mean,
want to see
the
Haskins,
strength-
man. That's why I want to see Haskins take a step, man. I hope he's fucking working out and studying right now. Like, man, I want to see.
You know who we're waiting for, baby. You know who your boy's waiting for? The one-legged dream, the comeback
Alex
story
Smith.
of the year.
He only got 1 year left. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, he just 1 year, right? How much more time does he have? I need Haskins ready.
Haskins not going to be on that team next year. They're going to draft another quarterback. It's over. That whole regime that drafted him, like, unless he comes out and turns out to be like the guy, it's over for Haskins. New GM, new coach, like that never works out. Like they're going to trade him for something to like Cincinnati, and it's going to be over for Haskins. Alex Smith, baby, the new name change, the comeback story of the world. Alex Smith's going to lead Washington.
I do like Alex Smith
to a miraculous 4 and whatever record
12.
And it's gonna 4-12 record, and it's gonna be glorious. So all right, so let's rank these quarterbacks then. So you like Haskins? Is he gonna be at the bottom of your list?
He's the bottom, definitely. I like him.
Okay.
I want him to take a step, but I like Daniel Jones better. And then I would say I would rank Wentz first. I would rank Wentz first.
With the injuries, though, I'm kind of off.
Well, I'm saying the healthy ones. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I can only rank you like if you have to run a play or run a game and you're ready to go. You're like, I trust Wentz over Dak, and I'd put Dak over Dalton, and then I put Dalton over Daniel Jones. For now.
Wow. Okay. I'm jumping off the Wentz train because obviously if everybody's healthy, that's different. But unfortunately for Carson, it seems like every time you turn around, he's fucking
laying down.
He's laying down on the ground. Like, oh my God, it's like the wind is high in Philadelphia. Let's bench him because he might tear his ACLs. Like, who knows?
He also looks like Andy Samberg. Does anybody else see that?
No.
Who?
Andy Samberg.
Andy Samberg.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I see it.
I don't know. Who cares? Yeah, you don't hit that button, but you'll hit the gyration button or whatever the fuck that was. So, man, I can't. If I'm ranking Andy Dalton over, oh my God, because I do think Andy Dalton's better than advertised. It's like, do you give him his consistency? Because Dak has been up and down, but
listen, for the record, it's the only reason Andy Dalton is starting for the Cowboys is because the Cowboys and Dak are not reaching an agreement. 4 p.m. is going to come and go tomorrow, and if they reach an agreement, then Dak's starting all day because he is the better quarterback. But the only reason I think Andy is going to play with fire this season is because Dak and the Cowboys are not going to come to an agreement. So,
well, he's playing this.
I mean, when you look at it.
Oh, go ahead,
Yeah,
Bert.
I was going to say, Dak only has one more playoff win than Andy Dalton does. But it's not much. I mean, Dak only won one playoff game, and Andy hasn't won any.
How much longer has Dalton played?
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, look,
has
he's
also
been
played, but he's had to compete with Baltimore in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh,
with Marvin Jones. So
yeah, like
isn't
with the
terrible of a coach as people are laying him out to be, but man,
Marvin Lewis.
Marvin Lewis. What did I say? Marvin Jones.
He had Marvin Jones too, so I was just rolling with you because Marvin Jones was on was on Cincinnati for a little bit. No, Marvin Lewis is awful, and he probably should have been fired 10 years ago. And he
should have been fired a while ago, but he wasn't as bad. But go ahead.
It's one of those things where it's like, okay, you settle for mediocrity. Like, this is my Matt Ryan's not a Hall of Famer conversation. You're so satisfied with watching mediocrity for so long, you will accept very good because you've just been the best part of an average thing. So like Marvin Lewis is that for me. Like, they'll say he's a good coach, but like, all right, where's the evidence of that? He's just been a decent coach for a long, consistent period of time. You can say he's consistently average. So it's like, I guess you can lump Andy Dalton in that category, but I think Cincy and Marvin Lewis has only been that because Andy Dalton has been as good as he's going to be. Nobody's saying he's a top 5 quarterback, but
that's fair.
If you get a better offensive line around him, you get a better running game around him and a better defense around him. All right, we know he's like a better Alex Smith, right? Not going to lose you the game, but can do some things to win you the game when needed. He's like a step above Kirk Cousins. And I like Kirk Cousins. It's just he can't be the guy to do it for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can do it in spurts. So he's in that like Kirk Cousins, Ryan Fitzpatrick, like he's in Andy Dalton's at the top of that like kind of division. So that's where he is for me, personally. So Saquon. So all right. So we're doing Saquon over Le'Veon. That's a thing we're doing here on the show.
Saquon over who?
Le'Veon in New York is the best running back in the division.
Mike is almost right about Saquon being the best running back in the league. Like, come on, like Le'Veon isn't in that discussion anymore. I don't think. It's probably because the team is on.
Ezekiel Elliott wants to talk to you guys.
No, we're talking about running backs totality right now as well, right?
Yeah,
because
we're talking about the NFC East, but I think I was talking about New York specifically. Like,
no, it's definitely Barkley. No, that's not
over Le'Veon.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
Okay. All right. I thought it like I didn't think you guys would be that definitive about it. I mean, Le'Veon's only a year removed from setting a bunch of records up in Pittsburgh.
I feel bad for Le'Veon. I wish he was on a better team too because he had flashes last year, but
yeah, he scared my Bills. Beat her, that was scary. Like, I was terrified. That was the only thing I was scared of. Sam and what's his name, Sam Darnold, as long as he doesn't lick, water fountains and doesn't get mono again, he should be okay.
Yeah,
but
he's not gonna get mono this time. It might get something else.
Yeah,
Le'Veon and Saquon are similar in terms of being on bad teams and doing a lot. Like, cause Saquon did the same thing. Like, the Giants suck so bad, but yet Saquon would get the ball and do some amazing shit. And Le'Veon Bell did the same thing. So both of those guys are like, it sucks they're on like horrible teams, but they're nasty. But
the Giants, the Giants shouldn't be that bad because they have Sterling Shepard, they have Golden Tate. I know Golden Tate was hurt last year. They have Evan Ingram.
Yeah.
Like,
well, he was
not
suspended.
Like
he wasn't necessarily. He was hurt later, but he was
right?
suspended for the first part. Yeah, because he was taking. I guess him and his wife were trying to have kids, but one of the drugs he was taking for him ended up being on the no-fly list.
Yeah, I would say that too. That's a good. Nobody's going to question that.
Yeah, McGuire said it best. It's for sex. It's like, but Mark, you're on the road.
Oh shit! Hey, Mark McGuire, have some personality. You could have saved baseball better than you did.
He's like the Andy Dalton, only successful of baseball. Think about it.
Oh, that's not fair. I hope Andy Dalton. Now I'm with Corey. I hope Andy Dalton wins the Super Bowl with boring ass Mike McCarthy and punk ass Jerry Jones. Massive Jerry. All right, so
boys.
We're all in agreement. We're mostly in agreement. It's going to be Dallas and Philly fighting for that number one spot, trailed by New York Giants, and then the Washington racial slurs are going to be last. But they're coming. Washington, there's some change coming, and hopefully, I am rooting. I like Ron Rivera. I do like Dwayne Haskins, and I want Adrian Peterson to go out on a little bit of a run here. I would love to get him a Super Bowl for that team, and I think everything in Washington's trending upwards. All jokes aside, they have a good coach. Hopefully, they allow him to establish the culture there. But anything, the Cowboys are just going to do it to themselves. That's just the way it is. Jerry Jones is in charge. They're not going to win. I can't believe I picked them to win in the first place. They'll find a way to lose it. They'll be great for the first part of the season. It'll look good, and then they'll fall apart because that's what Jerry Jones and the Cowboys do. And Philly will be there, and the ghost of Nick Foles will come back somehow. Nick Foles will come back from Chicago, and everything will be right in Philly. So that was our NFC East breakdown. Next week, I think we are going to go with the AFC. Let's just get them out of the way. Let's get the AFC South out of the way because they're the worst division. That'll be a quick show. That's the worst division in football, and I don't want to. That'll be We'll have some other things to talk about by then. Maybe we'll rank. We'll probably rank. We'll rank the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. We'll quickly talk about the Phillip Rivers winning the. We'll talk, and the Mets Yankees will happen. So we'll not talk about that. Before I go, nobody ever buy a Kamaru Usman fight ever again. I promised to go over this to my guy Kaz. He's a UFC fan. He knows I like UFC. Jorge Masvidal took a fight 6 days in. Fight Island happened. I've been hyping it up for weeks. It was awesome. Once again, the women had the best fight on the card. I know none of you guys watched it, so I'll quickly go over this before we get out of here. The women, once again, set the bar. They've had the best fights on the last couple UFC cards. Jorge Masvidal is probably the face of UFC. This pay-per-view had more buys than any other pay-per-view since 2018, and it was only because Jorge Masvidal. He lost because Usman is a boring fighter. I will never buy a fight that he is on the card. The reason why people look at his record and say, why isn't he a star? And a lot of casual fans have watched this fight. That's why. Because he's just bigger and stronger than everybody, and all he wants to do is hug you and clinch you up, and he won't stand up there and actually fight. And if he stood toe-to-toe with Masvidal would have fucked him up, and he knew that, so he played it safe. So kudos on the strategy. I'm not going to take away your victory, but you are bad for UFC. Everything you do is bad for UFC. You're too big. You're too strong. You look too good to be fighting that way. You fight like a punk ass, and I'll never buy a fight from you again. You're bad for the UFC. Dana White never put him in the main event again. Take the belt away from him.
God damn.
So now that was today's show, guys. Thank you everybody for joining us. Happy hour this Friday, 5:30. We'll talk about some fun stuff. All our happy hours the last couple of weeks have been like 2.5 hours, so who knows?
Yeah, it's out of hand, dude.
We're going for 3.5 this
3.5 hours. Yeah, man. My wife and kids are going to be gone. I'm here all night, ready to party.
If you like the shirt that Jamal's got on, go to giveusashot.network.
/shop. Giveusashot.network/shop. We have a bunch of new merch. The new Bubba shirts are.
Yo, you can get $5 off too though.
Oh yeah, $5 off. Use the
$5
discount code SHOTBOYS with a Z. Listen, we are trying to do some big things. I'm going to try to go to the next NASCAR event with my Bubba shirt on down next time it's here in Myrtle Beach. Also, just give us a shot.network if you are trying to start a podcast or you're trying to promote your podcast, you want to monetize it, you just want to find some good podcasts to listen to. We got Push the Agenda, we got The Mike Show, we got Smart Out Club, we got Stuff About Sports. We got a bunch of good shit on there. And yeah, come support us, man. We're trying to make it happen out here. So for Corey, I like this move shirt. It's coming soon. Corey, Ty, Bert, Mike, and I am Germ. Guys, this was awesome. Thank you guys for listening, being on social. Share, like our shit, and share our page so we can grow and do good things for the rest of you. And have a good night.
Yeah.
Hi, how'd you get me up there?
Sports.
Sports.